Batting second, on the mound, number 1, Laos. Batting third, at second base, number 9, Jackson York. Batting fourth, playing third, number 12, Cooper Mills. Batting fifth, at first base, number 5, Evan Reher. Oh, he's DH. Oh, we're going bomber. Batting sixth, at the designated hitter position, we have number 7, Bomber Jet Tyler.
Yes, I do. Batting four.
Jet Tyler will be batting for number 2, Reese Konchak. Batting seventh, in center field, number 14, Cody Wesson. I want to say Smith and Wesson. Batting eighth, playing catcher, number 11, Colby Canales. Batting ninth, playing left field, number 8, Bronson Long. That was a fun one. Substitutes for the Vikings tonight will be number 6, Ryan Duty, number 3, Preston Vaughn, and number 20, Braden Grenier. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
And with that play ball call, you are looking live at Lago Vista High School here in Lago Vista, Texas, as we get ready for the final series of the regular season between your Manor New Tech Titans and the Lago Vista Vikings. Manor New Tech comes off of a split against Legacy Ranch, where they ended up taking a 2-1 victory in extra innings and look to continue that dominance here tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Dalton Brown. Merle Bertrand is our broadcasting director, Suna Van Cat, our product manager, and Les DeSalvo, our quality analyst, bringing you the action here on the Vype Sports Media Network at the best quality we possibly can. Tonight, Manor New Tech comes into this game leading everything here. Everything is at stake right now. Manor New Tech leads the 4A region, District 25, with a 10-8 record, and only need one win tonight and a Legacy Ranch loss in order to clinch that first place spot for the rest of the regular season. As for Lago Vista, this is their senior night, and for their senior night, they have been on a 2 senior night win streak, where last year they even beat Maynard New Tech by a final score of 10-8 in a series that was a sweep that sent them into the playoffs eventually. So Maynard New Tech looking to get a little bit of revenge here tonight with that dominance here in these matchups. The starting lineups for your Maynard New Tech Titans, leading off and pitching tonight will be number 1 Kingston Coulter, the usual center fielder. Batting second is Nate Salognac. He'll be catching tonight, so you have the 2 battery mates going back to back. Zane Thomas will be playing shortstop. Mod Riley will be playing first base. Gabriel Posada, no relation to Jorge Posada, will be playing in as well. Luis Villegas at designated hitter, and we'll be listening to the public address announcer.
Leading off for the Titans, number 1, pitcher Kingston Coulter.
Evan Langham will be playing left field. Chris Sneeden right. Eddie Lacona at second, and defense only Dom Hidarga. Well, pitching tonight will be Jude Laux, and the first pitch of the game coming up. First pitch is foul behind the net, 0-1 the count. Jude Laux comes onto the mound in this one. We see he's got a smoking hot fastball and, of course, a couple of off-speed pitches that will be necessary to look for if you're a right-handed hitter. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Chopped right back to the pitcher. He'll run this one out and make a routine throw to first in time for the out. So it goes a 1-3 put out to start the game. And there's 1 out. Didn't take long for that first out. Salognac.
Now to bat, number 2, Nate Salognac.
So a 2-pitch put out, a foul ball back, and then a grounder right back to the pitcher brings up catcher Nate Salognac to the plate as he takes first pitch ball 1-0. Salognac is a switch hitter who we've seen be able to put the ball the other way these past few games. However, the last game he was 0 for 2, struck out 3 times and walked as he swings and misses at that fastball 1-1. Going down with the hat trick in the game that went into extra innings, but able to still get on base, as that 3 strikeout performance was not a usual performance we see from him, as he takes a strike 1 and 2 on the outside corner that time. Laux going with the outside corner, called strike 3, and he goes down looking on that one for the first K of the game. What a good pitch there by the pitcher Laux.
Coming up to bat for the Titans, shortstop, number 7, Zane Thomas.
Which brings up Zane Thomas to the plate. The guy who came in relief in the game against Legacy Ranch. 3 strikeouts in the 8th inning, 3 up, 3 down as he takes strike 1 on the outside, 0-1. Laux just dialing in that fastball in the outside corner to both left-handed and right-handed hitters alike. Here's the 0-1. Outside for a ball. The sophomore, I should say, on senior night starting this one. Just making sure to let his presence be known to this Maynard New Tech offense. Here's the 1-1. Chopped down the first base line, foul, and it'll be a 2-strike count, 1 and 2. For a sophomore, he's got that fastball zipping through. You can almost hear the seams from here in the booth, and all but one window is closed. So, I mean, there's a reason why you can still hear it. It's like a zipper. That was not a sign for me to have it closed. I like that. Here's the 1-2 to Thomas. Fastball popped up first base side. This one will be out of play. Cal will remain 1 and 2. It's a very soggy day outside here in Lago Vista. We weren't sure if we were going to have a game today until about the afternoon back in my hometown of Taylor. Again, the 1-2. Fastball outside corner, called strike 3, inning over. So no runs, no hits, no errors, 2 strikeouts tonight for Jude Laux, and the Titans unable to start this offensive onslaught at all. So we'll go to the bottom of the first. The Titans will go onto the field. The Vikings have an opportunity to break the blood early. You're watching Maynard New Tech Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network.
Lago Vista Vikings. Shortstop, number 10, Aiden Vasquez.
And so we go to the bottom of the first inning now. Aiden Vasquez leads this thing off. The shortstop will be followed by the pitcher, Jude Laux, who will be batting second. Jackson York will be batting third, playing second. Cooper Mills will be batting cleanup, playing the hot corner. First baseman, Evan Rear, will be playing first base. Jet Tyler, Fighter Jet Tyler, I should say, depending on which position he's playing, will be the DH. Cody Weston will be in center field. Colby Candles will be the catcher behind the plate. And Bronson Long, the left fielder. And Reese Konchak will be the right fielder for this one. So first pitch is a strike 0-1. That's Canales, excuse me. So here comes pitcher to the grounder over to third base. Tough play. Throw to first on a hop. Stretches out, not in time. He is going to be safe with an infield single. So Aiden Vasquez early on in this one gets on base. 2 pitches and a base hit.
Come on bat now for the Vikings. Pitcher.
And there was a timeout on the field as Riley will be a little shaken up. So what we'll mention for a little bit while we get to that is Kingston Coulter in that game in that first game, I should say, against Legacy Ranch, went 4 1/3 innings in relief, coming out in the first inning with 1 out. He ended up striking out 8 in that relief appearance, giving up 2 runs. So Coulter, who's a usual center fielder, likes to bring out the heat early, and he's able to locate that heat really well. As the players kind of take a second to check on the shaken up player. Well, mentioning, like we said, that was a good little piece of hitting there. I mean, you got a fastball there. You're trying to time it up early as a leadoff hitter, and you just want to get a piece of it early on, either that or just work a pitch count. And Vasquez is able to chop one over to third base, and he's got that lightning speed to head over there, and he does more than just gets a piece of that bat. He's able to get an infield single out of that. Start something early on. Sometimes the weather also has a factor as a third baseman. I mean, it did rain a lot today. Eventually, you're playing on a turf, and no matter what kind of surface you're playing on, that ball is going to get wet if it hits the ground a good amount of times. And as a third baseman, you got to quickly collect that, throw to first, and try not to let it slip out of your hand. And gripping it is sometimes the hardest part of it. And that time, it's what Adargo kind of had to deal with on that one, but it's still a good effort nonetheless, and a good stretch attempt by Riley. And while we attend to him, we'll take a short break on the Vype Sports Media Network, and we'll come right back afterwards. And, of course, we want to mention Vasquez for a second because that base hit and that speed is not something that came out of nowhere, as this guy is known for the speed and known for his skills in general as a baseball player. He was named Defensive Player of the Year as a sophomore and Defensive MVP as a junior, and he has also received academic All-State recognition in football this past season during his varsity career at Lago Vista. Get this, 114 hits, 127 runs, 66 RBIs, and he broke the stolen base and run record this season, and he currently holds 32 stolen bases and 50 runs on the year, with 74 stolen bases on his career. So that's Ricky Henderson-like speed out there, and that's something that you'll see throughout this game, and I'm sure that something that Selingnack will have to look out for. And we'll take another short break here as Riley looks to be coming out of this game. So after Riley comes out of this game, as Careless Whisperer by George Michael of all things starts playing throughout the stadium, the starting pitcher Jude Louse comes to the plate with a runner on first and nobody out. Luis Villegas will be taking over at first base, the original designated hitter. And like we mentioned for those records for Vasquez, it'll be something for someone not to look out for. As there he goes for second, pass ball, and he'll steal second with ease. This was got behind the catcher anyways, but I'm sure he had that base regardless. So it will be rolled a stolen base, and the runner will move into scoring position, still with nobody out. So runner on second now, as it didn't take long for Vasquez to show his speed and showcase that to this Titans defense as they take ball 2-0. Coulter from the stretch looking behind him. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Fastball outside for a ball, 3-0. So 3 straight balls so far for Coulter. And again, like we mentioned before, part of it has to do, you could try and make different assumptions. Maybe he just doesn't have a right grip on the ball. Sometimes the weather would factor into that, especially if there is still sprinkling. But regardless, it's ball 4.
Up to bat for the Vikings, number 9, playing second base, Jackson York.
Here's Jackson York to the plate now, the second baseman batting third. Vasquez will be credited with a hit as a stolen base. Laux with a walk, and he'll get a courtesy runner, of course. As in high school sports, it is common in baseball for the catcher and the pitcher to get a courtesy runner. And Preston Vaughn will go over to pinch run for Laux. And there he goes for third now. And Vasquez steals second and third here in the first inning. And just like that, he went from a whole 270 feet to 90 feet from scoring in the span of 5 pitches. Not wasting any time out there on the field. Your 1-0 pitch. The second runner will go. And now Preston Vaughn getting in on the stolen base party, as now we got 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out. So these Titans better be careful here. And they actually mentioned this during the senior night presentation, and forgot to mention myself. Preston Vaughn has 100. His attempt percentage is 100% of stolen bases. Has not been caught stealing all season long. So, and he'll take ball 8 as he'll load up the bases now with nobody out. So a base hit and 2 walks brings up Cooper Mills to the plate.
Now up to bat, number 12, third baseman, Cooper Mills.
And for somebody to be 100% at stolen bases on the air, it doesn't matter if you're playing Little League or whatever you're playing. That's still an impressive accolade nonetheless, and Preston Vaughn able to show that. So here's the lefty Mills at the plate, bases loaded. There's a strike, 0-1 on the inside corner. Middle infielders are in. The corners are in near the grass. Villegas and Adargo both playing in. Here's the 0-1. That's a strike 0-2. And Mills kind of from back here as a Texas Tech alum looks like he's got the stance of Jace Young when he was playing for the Red Raiders. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Outside, gets away, and runner at third will hold up. Runner at second will have to go back as he had anticipated going to third. Count will be 1-2. And I actually could see Vasquez on the first pitch. He kind of took a big secondary lead and made it look as if he would be willing to make that attempt to go right away if that ball gets loose.
Probably don't want to take the bat out of Cooper Mills' hands right here.
So Kingston will go from the windup. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Popped up, out of play behind the plate. 1-2. I was expecting a loud bang, but did not hear that loud bang.
I guarantee you shot over as well.
I think everybody in the booth was expecting a loud pow. The 1-2 pitch. Inside, called ball 2-2. So Coulter went right back to the fastball, missed the corner that time, and the count even at 2.
Pitch counts right. Yes, sir. Sometimes so.
Middle infielder's in, corner's in. 2-2 pitch. Ball low. That one's in the dirt. 3-2, or in the turf, I should say. Sometimes if you've got a base-loaded situation like this as a pitcher, more than likely you could go from the stretch, or if you feel more comfortable, you go from the windup. Here's the 3-2. Liner down the first base line. I believe this will be out of play, and it will. Count still full at 3-2. And while the third baseman has speed and he can make that big secondary, more times pitchers feel more comfortable in the windup than they do from the stretch. It takes away the pressure of an accidental balk. Payoff pitch. Line drive in the right field. That's going to get down for a base hit. One run's going to score. Snead gets past Snead into right field off the fence. The second one will come in to score. Rounding third and heading for the plate is York, and he will score as well. It is a 3 RBI double, as we'll credit him with. And just like that, the Vikings take a 3-0 lead in the first 4 batters of the game. And that was just a
Run base clearing double for Cooper Mills.
good piece of hitting there by.
Playing first base, number 5, Evan Rehart.
That was just a good piece of hitting there by Mills. He's able to work a count there, get it into a full count, foul off a few pitches, and eventually rip one out in the right field, just pulling it, expecting that fastball from Kingston Coulter as he's been throwing all game long. And just being able to get early on it, pulling into right field, just gets past Chris Snead out there in right field, gets all the way to that blue monster out in right field. Bases clearing double, and it's 3-0. So here's Evan Rear at the plate, the first baseman. Takes high, ball 2, 2-0. It's a tough situation for a pitcher. Usually you get first 4 batters up, you give up a base hit and 2 walks, and suddenly those 3 runners come in to score on the next batter, and it's a 3-0 game suddenly. Now you just look to get that first out. Popped up in the first base side, foul, 2-1. And Coulter's definitely one of those flamethrower guys that comes in from the outfield with the arm that you bring in, and he knows he's got that arm and wants to show that early on and just bring in the fastball, maybe the occasional changeup and slider. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fastball low, ball 3, 3-1. And you have to wonder here.
All turf mound could be having a little trouble getting traction on that lead foot.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. Outside ball. No, called strike 2. 3-2 on the outside corners. He's able to paint it there like Greg Maddux with the Braves. 3-2.
After 10 years in the MLB.
And of course, able to expand the zone on that one, able to bring that count full. Here's the payoff pitch. Fly ball into left field, should be playable. Running over and trying to catch this one and getting under it is the left fielder. Langham will make the catch, so it'll be a fly out to the left fielder for the first out of the inning. That was just,
Up to bat. Designated hitter. Number 7, Bomber Jet Tyler.
And Rare was just able to get a piece of that ball. I mean, he got good timing on it, but just got a little too far underneath that one, which just led to a pop-up, which now brings up as they call him here, Bomber Jet Tyler to the plate. The designated hitter. First pitch, called strike, 0-1. Also like to give a shout out to the many people that are watching this game, coming in from the cities of Lubbock, Hutto, Taylor, Granger, and even the Dallas area. Chopped to shortstop. Should be a play for Thomas. He runs over to his left and make a play at first. Nice play by Villegas to stretch out on that one. It'll go as a 6-3 putout, 2 away here in the inning. That's a good play there by Thomas to be able to go over to his left on the run.
Playing center field, number 14, Cody Wesson.
Getting over there on a run and still being able to make a solid throw. And Villegas stretching out to catch that one as it was so far to his right and still able to keep that foot on the bag, and that puts it as 2 away here in the inning. So here's the center fielder, Cody Wesson, to the plate. First pitch is a strike, 0-1. So after giving up 3 runs in the first 4 batters, we got 2 straight outs here and a chance to get out of this jam. Runner 90 feet from scoring. Here's the 0-1. Grounded at third, foul, 0-2. And that's always a tough play as a third baseman, whether you want to let that one go or not. And a tight grounder like that, you're not sure if it's going to clip the chalk over there past the third base bag or if it's just going to go right behind beforehand. Every now and then you get one, though, that angle's just right. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3, inning over. So after giving up 3 runs, he's able to get out of it, but not before surrendering 3 runs, 2 hits, leaving 1 on base. So we'll go to the top of the second inning. The Vikings lead in this one 3-0. You are watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network, and we will return after a short break. Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Gavino Hidrago will come in replacement for Ahmad Riley, who came out of this game after the first play at the bottom of the first inning. So he will hit in place of him. Seen Drago get some at-bats this year, and they've been some solid ones as well. He's been able to put that ball into the outfield in different gaps out there. Being able to push and pull. Hitting anywhere where they ain't, kind of like Ichiro Suzuki back in the early 2000s. And we're taking a second here. Of course, I say just like, not exactly like him, because Ichiro is a completely different level of hitter. You want to talk about a random stat for Ichiro? The only player in MLB history to get 200 hits for 10 seasons in a row. The quickest guy to 3,000 hits. He was on track to break the record had he not started his MLB career at 27, instead of playing over in Japan, starting his career at age 18, where he played 9 seasons in Japan's Pacific League, the NPB.
In my opinion, the best pure hitter in Major League Baseball history. Contact
What made Ichiro so special was not only his contact, but also his speed. I mean, you're talking about a guy who had 3,000 hits, but also had over 500 stolen bases in his career. A guy who also had over 100 career home runs and had a lot more in Japan. So he was a guy who was a secret power hitter and could bring it out every now and then. And one of those moments was actually a game against the New York Yankees back in 2009, when he ended up facing possibly the greatest closer of all time in Mariano Rivera. A 2-1 deficit with a runner on base, and Ichiro finds the first pitch cutter. He knew it was a cutter because he only threw a slider 13 times in his career, so he knew more than likely it's coming, and goal is still to hit it.
That's called math right there. 13 out of about 5,000 pitches.
And regardless,
I guess we're questioning the lineup over here.
they're either questioning the lineup or something. I'm not sure what exactly is happening out here, so we're taking a second to kind of mention different contact hitters and different players throughout the generations. I mean, I will say, as well as Ichiro was, there's always still the debate that happens to this day about whether he should be credited with the all-time hit record or not. And while my obvious answer is no, you do still credit him with the Guinness World Record for hits, the same way that Sadadara O got in Japan. The 869 home runs in the NPB. All right, so getting right back into the action after the timeout. Home plate umpire signaling for a Drago to come back after that meeting, and he's got to get to the box quickly. I mean, that umpire can and will establish dominance if he needs to out there on the field. And now, hold on, we got another change at the plate. We'll have to see who that is coming up to the plate. It's number 6, and I'm trying to find out who I have on my lineup card. And yep, sure enough, I was able to find it. It is Adrian Stone, actually, to the plate. So it went from a Drago to Stone. First pitch is outside for a ball, 1-0.
Leading off, number 6, Adrian Stone.
So a little bit of confusion out there on the field. We weren't sure exactly what was happening. It probably had to do with the fact he was a designated fielder or something. So 2-0 count here. First 2 pitches were balls, as Stone will get an opportunity here to swing the bat. As that one's out of the zone for a ball, 3-0 the count now. So working a hitter's count early on in this inning. Laux 3-0. Swing and a miss. Strike, 3-1 the count, as he just brought that heat right back over. And like you mentioned, timing is everything and tempo is everything, and whoever can control the tempo can really win the mind games, as they'll take ball 4 and reach first with the first Titans base runner of the ball game. And that brings up Gabriel Posada to the plate.
Off to bat. Number 11, playing third base, Gabe Posada.
So here's Posada to the plate, as the rhythm for a lot of us has been thrown off after that timing miscue for the first, and not in time. Laux from the stretch. Here's the 0-1. First pitch, I should say, it's a ball 1-0. And you can tell the rhythm is really getting to us in the booth now as an 0-1 turned into a 1-0. Regardless, 1-0. We see, of course, all these hitters will be preparing for that tough fastball that we see out of the right arm of Laux, and seems to be the pitch that he'll be going to most in his arsenal early on in this game as that pitch is fouled off 1-1. And of course, in the top of the third inning, we'll be doing our segment of Today in Texas History presented by OnThisDay.com. For a lot of teachers and faculty in the state of Texas, there's always a coach, and we like to establish the two things that Texans take the most pride in: its history in the great Republic of Texas and its sports, with our segment of Today in Texas History presented by OnThisDay.com, and we'll get to that in the third inning. Another foul ball, 1-2 count. From the stretch, here's a 1-2. Off speed, called strike 3, brings out the curveball that time, going from left to right, doing a do-si-do, and just like that is the first out of the inning. And suddenly, after mentioning the fastball,
Number 17, first baseman, Luis Villegas.
so Luis Villegas will now come up to the plate here. Villegas was credited with the game-tying RBI in the game against Legacy Ranch, which brought into extra innings. And here's a liner in the right field. How about another piece of hitting by Villegas? That's a base hit in the right field. He will cruise into first base with the first Titans base hit of the game. Runners on first and second with one out. And that's exactly what he did in that game against Legacy Ranch. He put that ball down the line. Well, he put the ball down the third base line in that game against Legacy Ranch on that first pitch, and then suddenly he does it again here. First pitch, lines it past that first baseman. Runners on first and second with one out. Of course, like we mentioned, a lot of viewers coming in from different parts of the state of Texas, so this game is being viewed not just in Central Texas.
Stepping into the box for the Titans, number 10, center fielder, Evan Lago.
But in South, West, and East Texas alike, the Dallas area, the Lubbock area, and Corpus area alike. First pitch, outside corner, called strike 0-1. Here's Evan Langham to the plate. Langham in that last game. I can find the stats from that last game, as that's a strike 0-2. Getting down in the count early. Got a base hit. Got a base hit in that game and then grounded out a couple times. That's a ball 1-2 in that game against Legacy Ranch. Stone with a solid lead at second, the 1-2. Outside ball, 2-2. Just missing the corner on that one. I bet you that Laux would have liked an ABS challenge on that one. Would tap the hat if he could, and of course, that'll be a constant point of conversation throughout the season. This one's popped up down the first base side. I think this one's going to get out of play, and it will. Just near the batting cage, 2-2 still. Of course, we've seen a lot of the fastball. Like we mentioned on that strikeout earlier, Laux really brought out the deuce on that one, able to bring out that secret pitch in the arsenal to get him off rhythm. Here's the 2-2. Chop to the shortstop. This could be two. Rolls to second for one. On to first. A double play. A nice scoop by the first baseman on that one, as Rear's able to make that one. So a 6-4-3 double play. 6 plus 4 plus 3 equaling 2 on that one, and that will end the inning. So no runs, one hit, 2 men left on base as we will go to the bottom of the second inning. Score still 3-0. Titans unable to get anything in that one.
the bottom of the second. Vikings, number 11, Colby Canales.
Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. We head into the bottom of the second inning after the Titans were not able to get anything after getting 2 runners on and rolling into a 6-4-3 double play. Here's Colby Canales to the plate. First pitch on the outside part of the plate, called the ball 1-0. That was a good rolling of the double play, though, just a second ago. It was a ground ball, nicely played by shortstop Vasquez over to the second baseman, York, and then throwing the first on the good scoop by Rear to end the inning as he takes ball 2-0. Just talking about the play on that one. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Fastball, ball, 3-0. With the piece of hitting that this offense has been getting so far, you know that Coulter's looking at that and trying to dance around the strike zone as much as he possibly can while also trying to get those batters to chase as he's able to get a strike on that one, 3-1. The 3-1 pitch on the way. Fastball, ball 4, so he will draw a walk. The third walk given up by Coulter so far in this game, and that brings in
Coming up to bat for the Vikings, left fielder, number 8, Bronson Long.
the number 9 hitter, Bronson Long, to the plate. So they'll switch orders of the lineup here in this inning. Left fielder Long steps into the box. Third walk of this game so far in just the second inning. Given up by Coulter. First pitch. Shows bunt, pulls back, ball 1-0. You saw third baseman Lago come in crashing on that one. Ready to field that one. We've seen him do that all year long. Here's the 1-0. Shows bunt. This one's back behind the screen. Foul, 1-1. And another subject we were talking about just a second ago at half. The Victor Wembanyama injury that just happened in Game 2 for the Spurs against Portland. Which also makes me realize how long it's been since the Spurs have even been in the playoffs. Even though it was even longer that they were in the playoffs. I grew up with the Spurs in the playoffs. Here's the 1-1. Runner goes, heading for second. The throw down is not in time as Canales will get in with a stolen base. It was kind of mishandled there for a second there by Salagnak. And it'll be a ball, 2-1 the count. So far, stolen bases have been shown all around in this game. Here's the pitch. Outside ball, 3-1 the count. That is the 4th stolen base so far in this game for the Vikings in just the second inning. Coulter coming in from the stretch, looking behind him. Here's the 3-1. Outside ball 4, so back-to-back walks to start this inning. And we go back to the top of the order, bringing in Aiden Vasquez to the plate.
Up to bat, number 10, Aiden Vasquez.
The multi-award winning leadoff shortstop committed to go play college baseball at Community Christian College in Round Rock, a newly established college baseball team. First pitch outside for a ball, 1-0.
So it makes a difference. I always say their position in the first.
Looking behind him, here's a 1-0. Popped up third base side. This one will definitely get out of play, 1-1. Sky high foul ball on that one. Do find it interesting. Never been on near this field before, but gotta love the blue all around the stadium. The blue monster out in right field, kind of reminding you of the blue monster in Durham. Here's the 1-1. Ball 2-1. The Durham Bulls' new stadium, where the ACC championship for baseball is usually held.
It was actually it was designed to be reverse of Fenway Park.
And what we just learned is this was designed to be a reverse of Fenway Park. Here's the 2-1. Ball 3-1. The oldest stadium in Major League Baseball, built in 1912, and the Monster in Boston was built to avoid fans from getting a free game in Massachusetts, and eventually became an icon of the stadium and of the sport in general. Here's the 3-1. Outside corner, called strike, and a full count, 3-2. And of course, the Monster makes a kind of odd cameo in the movie The Babe, played by John Goodman, where you see a completely different green monster as it was established in 1914. Here's the 3-2. Outside ball 4, so 3 straight walks, and the bases are loaded for Jude Laux coming back to the plate. He walked in his last at-bat and stole a base.
Coming up to bat, number 1, Jude Laux.
And you got to wonder if that first inning probably brought in some, as a pitcher, you're trying to gain that confidence back after something like that, giving up 3 runs early on. You're trying to find your game, find your rhythm, and find your tempo, because that is a big part of controlling every aspect of the game. And there will be a meeting on the pitcher's mound. So Laux with his walk-up song being Careless Whisper by George Michael, like we had mentioned earlier in the first inning, I can't remember which Oakland Athletic player it was that had that walk-up song. I don't think it was Josh Donaldson. That was the first name I think about. It might have been Donaldson. But it was somebody who ended up getting traded, and when he came back to Oakland, the Coliseum played that walk-up song again on his new team as a salute to him. So for the second time in this game, the bases are loaded for the Vikings. Middle infielders in, corners in on the grass. Third baseman playing in the blue side of the turf. First pitch. Ball high, 1-0. Shout out to Zane Carson, of course, Vikings alumni, who went off to UTSA, a good buddy of mine. Absolutely killing it in the powerlifting world. When he got into it in high school, I mean, he was not there to mess around. This guy was, I want to say he was deadlifting at least close to 500 pounds, it seemed like. This one's outside for a ball, 3-0. And of course, that power translated to his days as a hitter. The former first baseman definitely had a bat on him. That pitch is outside for a ball. 4th straight walk in this one, and that'll be credited with an RBI. Laux with his 2nd walk of the game. Bases remain loaded.
Now up to bat for the Vikings, number 9, Jackson York.
Right now, I mean, it looks like Coulter, I mean, just found him a tough player out there. A tough lineup. Trying to get around. Pitch outside corner, called strike 0-1. Preston Vaughn will once again come in as a courtesy runner. Vaughn had stolen a base back in the first inning as a courtesy runner, and he, like we mentioned, has a solid resume as a base stealer. This one's chopped back up the middle. Nice play by Thomas. An attempt does not get to it. That gets through for a 2 RBI single for Jackson York. So 2 runs come in to score, and the Vikings open this thing up to a 6-0 ball game.
Up to bat for the Vikings, number 12, Cooper Mills.
The Titans, I mean, coming in against a lightning hot offense, and suddenly the floodgates open early here in the 2nd inning. As you see, York, who walked his last at bat, wanted to get in on the action, and he does so right there. Pokes that one right back up the middle, just out of reach of Zane Thomas. Able to be credited with a base hit. Cooper Mills pops this one up, out of play, 0-1. Last at bat, he was the reason why this game got opened up early. A 3 RBI double into right field, past the glove of Chris Snead, off of that Fenway Park-inspired blue monster in right field. Big lead at second, conservative lead at first. Pitch gets away. Runners will advance a base on the pass ball as Selingnack was not able to squeeze that one on the outside pitch, 1-1. We saw that as a problem in the home game against Legacy Ranch from the 5th all the way up to the 7th inning is the high outside fastball for Selingnack was kind of his kryptonite. Here's the 1-1. Pitch outside for a ball, 2-1, and Coulter seeming to have some trouble locating his pitches, dancing around the strike zone. 2-1 count, no force except for at first, and that's another high outside fastball for a ball, 3-1. And it's a tough day as a pitcher when you're able to hit the same spot, but it's not the spot that you want to hit. You're missing in the same place, as that was just mentioned. Here's a 3-1. Outside ball for his 5th walk of the inning, and the bases are loaded for the 2nd time in this inning, 3rd time in the game for the Vikings, bringing in Evan Rear to the plate.
Up to bat, number 5, Evan Reher.
Reher flew out to left field in his first at-bat, was the first out of the game for the Vikings, but not before the rally got started. Going back from the windup, this one's outside for a ball, 1-0. And sometimes as a pitcher, I mean, in these situations, you have to go back to the windup with the bases loaded. You want to not worry about the runners on. You just want to worry about getting strikes. High ball, 2-0. And that location, it's just been way too high with these pitches. I mean,
He's not finishing his pitch. He's kind of lost confidence. He used this attack. Dials it back and trying to get control. He's going to leave very located.
there's another one. That's a strike, 2-1. He's able to get the location on that one. As a pitcher, that confidence is so key, especially when you need to attack the zone. Bat comes out. This one's popped up foul, 2-2. And look out, fans, for any flying bats and balls that may enter the stands at any time, is what I remember hearing at the Dell Diamond. But then it's usually followed with Spike pushing everyone back, going, also fans are not allowed on the field at any time. For any big-time Round Rock Express fans especially. 2-2 count. Still nobody out.
I'm not a crook, says the umpire.
The 2-2 pitch. Fastball outside corner, called strike 3. Second strikeout of the game for Kingston Coulter, and it comes in a big situation with the bases loaded, and there's one away.
Now up to bat for the Vikings, number 7, Bomber Jet Tyler.
Bringing up Bomber Jet Tyler to the plate. Since the public address announcer will mention him, I will too. Says when he's pitching, his nickname usually tends to be Fighter Jet Tyler. But when he steps into that right-handed batter's box with a bat in his hand, it's Bomber Jet Tyler. Here's the 1-0. Fastball inside corner, called strike 1, 1-1. Tyler grounded out to the shortstop Thomas, his first at bat. The 1-1 pitch. Chopped to short again. Thomas going to come crashing in on this one. He'll bobble it as he tried to throw it before he collected it, and that will go down as an E6 on that one. That scores another run. A 7-0 game for the Vikings.
Number 14, Cody Wesson.
And sometimes on a crashing play like that as a shortstop, you're trying to find the quick force out, and sometimes you do it before you actually have good possession of the ball, and something like that happens because you're trying to figure out which throw you can make quickly enough. You're heading towards third. Usually you'd flip right away. Here's a liner in the right field coming in and making the catches for Sneed, and he will not get to that one. That gets all the way to the base of the wall. One run's going to score. Second runner coming around third and cruising into the plate. A 2 RBI double for Cody Wesson as Chris Sneed was not able to get to that one. And timeout called as the right fielder is down. So we will take another short break here on the Vype Sports Media Network so we can attend to that player. You're watching You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. So Chris Nee comes out of this one. And it'll be Adama Drago actually going out into right field. It's a 9-0 ball game now as Coulter remains on the mound. After that 2 RBI double by Cody Weston. And here's Colby Canales at the plate. Canales pops this one up. First base side. Villegas looks for it, and this one gets out of play 0-1. Well, so far the 2 guys that have come out of this game on defense were the next inning's leadoff hitters back-to-back. Ahmad Riley and Chris Sneed. So a tough blow early on. 0-1 the count. Canales walked and stole a base earlier in the inning. Takes low for a ball, 2-0. So they batted around in this inning in a crucial playoff chance game. Remember, it takes a Legacy Ranch loss for this to get interesting. A 1-1 count. Here comes the pitch. Inside, it hit him. Canales hit by a pitch on that one, and the bases are once again loaded.
Now to bat for the Vikings, number 8, Bronson Long.
And that brings up the number 9 hitter, Bronson Long, to the plate, and Coulter, not sure if he'll remain in this game much longer. Unfortunately, as 6 high pitch count, and so far, I mean, he just doesn't have it today. I mean, there are some of those days you come onto the mound, you miss in certain spots, and it just gets a little consistent. And Coulter's a great pitcher, ball 1-0, and I mean, we saw that in that game against Legacy Ranch. He can really dial it down, and it's just one of those games where so far that hasn't been the case. The 1-0 pitch. Outside. Nice little snag there, avoiding a pass ball by Salamak. Ball 2-0. And there's another 6. There's for like the 10th or 12th time in this broadcast, someone had to say a 6-7 joke. And I know my 5-year-old brother-in-law is watching that too, so Miss Nikki, don't get mad at me for that one. This time it was not my fault. The other 11, sure.
Let me tell you, I'm
Hey,
10 and 12-year-old without telling you I'm a 10 and 12.
you have a 10 and 12. You know, I wish I brought extra mics. There's a line drive in the right field. That's going to be a base hit for Bronson Long. Rounding third and hitting for the plate and scoring a 2 RBI double, single, excuse me, for Bronson Long, and it's an 11-0 ball game.
Back to the top of the order with number 10, Aiden Vasquez.
And for the second time in this inning, we go back to the top of the order here with Aiden Vasquez coming to the plate. And like we mentioned, there's so many 6-7 references. I have a 9-year-old nephew, a 12-year-old niece, and a 3-year-old niece that knows what that is, plus numerous younger cousins. But of course, I have the brain of a 12-year-old. This one's popped up. Thomas looking for it. Coming underneath it is the third baseman. Won't get it. Regardless, he will tag third for one. On the second for the double plays. There was no infield fly rule on that, it looks like. They're not going to call infield fly, and they're going to call that a 5-4 double play as Vasquez is retired. So a little bit of confusion on the field, but regardless, this inning will end with 8 runs given up. So the Titans will come back to bat. A little bit of confusion out there, but heading into the top of the third, the Vikings lead 11-0. You're watching Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Well, like we mentioned before, we always like to do our segments of Today in Texas History presented by OnThisDay.com. And during football season, it's at halftime. During every other sport, it's at halftime. But during baseball, since there is no halftime, I usually pick an inning and go with it on the spot. So today is April 21st, 2026. And in 1836, General Cos arrived at San Jacinto with 500 reinforcement troops for the Mexican Army. And that same year, General Sam Houston defeated Santa Anna at the Battle of San Jacinto near present-day Houston. This 18-minute battle decided the independence of Texas, and over 700 Mexican soldiers were allowed to surrender to the Texan army. Santa Anna was captured the next day. In 1873, the Texas state legislature... let's go to the public address announcer real quick.
Leading off the top of the third for the Titans, number 5, Dom Lago.
The Texas state legislature repealed the law authorizing the state police. At least 36 state police members became Texas Rangers. In 1888, the state capitol in Austin opened to the public. Construction was not complete at the time of the opening, so not quite there yet. In 1906, Frank Hammer enlisted in the Texas Rangers. He was successful in his assignment to track down the high-profile outlaws Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. So Bonnie and Clyde. First pitch outside to Drago for a ball 1-0. And we'll mention the rest of the history in the bottom of the third, since there's 3 more things to go. Also outside for a ball 2-0. One of them is the Texas Rangers won against the Angels, but that was a 7-6 win for the first game for the franchise at Arlington Stadium, which I will talk too much about, so we're going to go ahead and skip that one. That's a strike, 2-1. Drago hitting for the injured Chris Sneed. So it goes from third base to right field, from designated fielder to number 8 hitter. And we get a 3-1 count here. The 3-1 pitch on the way. In the zone, called strike 3-2. Laux locking down from that hitter's count, forcing it full. Payoff pitch from the windup. Inside ball 4, and leadoff man will get on base to start this inning. Which brings up the previous game starting pitcher that went to the distance in regulation, Eddie Lacona, to the plate. Number 3, Eddie Lacona.
Number 3, Eddie Lacona.
Lacona struck out 5 in that game against Legacy Ranch. Didn't walk any batters, but gave up a good amount of hit-by pitches. Pitches a strike, 0-1. So we're going to count that on a completely different subject. A more conservative lead by Hidalgo at first. The 0-1 pitch. In the zone, outside corner, called strike 0-2. And once again, like we mentioned, the Paul Skeens approach by Jude Laux, where the fastball seems to be the most dominant pitch, with that off-speed bringing out every now and then. Here's the 0-2. Inside, look out. 1-2 the count. And your teammates are going to tell you to wear that, but I mean, with that kind of velocity, you wear it. You're going to be wearing that thing for a few weeks.
You have to borrow my back brace.
Might as well go ahead. Foul back 1-2. You might as well get that tattooed at that point. Actually, you don't even need to. It's already tattooed. It's already there. You just saved $200, depending on the size. Count remains 1-2 after that foul ball went out of play. 1-2 pitch outside, missing the corner for a ball. 2-2. 4 straight pitches and 4 straight fastballs in that at bat. As a hitter, you know you're sitting back waiting for that fastball, but you got to sit back and be prepared for any off-speed that could be coming at any point. Goes back to the heater, this time high, and a 3-2 count again. Lacona, a solid hitter when he's not pitching, especially focusing on his position playing skills. Here's the 3-2. Called strike 3, and he knew it. Fastball, 5 straight pitches were fastballs. 4 strikeout of the game for Laux, and there's 1 away. And that time he got to a 3-2 count and was able to blow him away that time. Going back to the top of the lineup. So here's the pitcher, the usual center fielder, Kingston Coulter, to the plate. He grounded out to the pitcher in his first at bat on 2 pitches. Small lead over at first. Here's the first pitch. Popped up first base side, out of play near the batting cages, 0-1. Well, Coulter, whenever he gets a ball in play, past the pitcher, you see that lightning speed that he's got like the Flash. Here's the 0-1. Look out, fastball in, 1-1. He kind of reminds me of a veteran Bubba Thompson with the Texas Rangers whenever he was coming up and down from the minor leagues and the majors, playing for both Round Rock and Texas. Here's the 1-1. Fastball, called strike 1 and 2 as he just blows him by him again with the heat. That fastball with some serious velocity. 1-2 pitch. Inside, got a piece of him and it hit him. So he'll take first base on that one. And that is the best kind of hip-high pitch you can get in that bat like that. It doesn't get much of you, especially at that velocity, but you're still able to draw the base regardless.
Number 2, Nate Solagna.
So the least painful hit-by pitch you can get in the... Not the best way to get on base, but you'll take whatever you can get. Here's Nate Solagna to the plate. So he takes ball 1-0. Struck out in his last at-bat. On that high fastball rate. The 1-0. Foul back 1-1. And I think that is the tough thing for this offense is they know, they saw that one curveball that Laux has thrown all game, and yet they saw that curveball regardless. So it's like, yeah, it's been 1, but we saw it. We know what it's capable of. Here's the 1-1. Outside for a ball, 2-1. And you're trying to work on just catching up to that high velocity. Like we mentioned, the windup that we see here in the approach that he takes kind of reminds us of the approach that Paul Skeens kind of takes. The 2-1 pitch. Inside for a ball, 3-1. Able to work a hitter's count again in this inning. Zane Thomas on the on-deck circle. When he was heading into the game against Travis, he actually had more doubles, he had more triples than he had doubles throughout the season. Here's a 3-1. Popped up infield. I believe this will be ruled an infield fly if this thing comes back in the fair territory, and it doesn't, but it's caught regardless for the second out. But regardless, it was a pop-up to the third baseman, and there's 2 away here in the inning.
Up to bat, number 7, Zane Thomas.
So here's Zane Thomas to the plate now. Struck out in his last at-bat as the second strikeout victim of the first inning. First and second. Hadrago taking a good lead at second. There's that off-speed pitch. There it is. It's a ball that time, 1-0. Like we said, you don't know when it's coming because that fastball is just a high percentage pitch and a good pitch at that you kind of forget about that curveball. But he brings it back again, 2-0. One thing Thomas has kind of mentioned, or you kind of seen from the past couple of games, is the curveball is the one pitch that pitchers seem to approach him with the most. You've seen a couple at-bats where they've gone back-to-back-to-back curveballs to Thomas, and you're wondering if this is going to be one of those at-bats. The 2-0 pitch. Fastball, chopped to third, easily handled, and just runs over to third base to tag. Inning over. A nice little play there by third baseman Cooper Mills, and that will end the inning. So In the third inning, still no runs. 2 men left on base, and we will head to the bottom of the third inning. The score is still 11-0. Vikings leading this one on coverage of Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. The road to the UIL State Championships begin next week. Well, a little bit of a change here. Lago, who started this game at third base and went into right field, will now come onto the bump here in the third inning. Leadoff hitter will be starting pitcher Lago to the plate. He's walked twice, and one of those walks was actually a bases-loaded walk to draw on a run. So that'll be the end of Kingston Coulter's day as he'll head back into center field. Coulter was able to get 2 strikeouts, but not before giving up 11 runs. First pitch is a strike, 0-1. The 0-1 pitch. Chopped to short. Thomas going to crash in on this one. He'll throw across his body the first. I'm not able to get the scoop on that one. Is Villegas. That one will be ruled an E6 on that one. As Laux is able to get into second on that one. So, an unfortunate miscue there. And suddenly the leadoff man is on. Once again, Thomas, I mean, that's a play that he's made all year long, and it's a play that he's really good at making. And 9 times out of 10, he's going to make that kind of play. I mean, he's a guy who can come crashing in onto the infield and throw across his body and make a dart to first in time. And that time, I think the conditions, like we mentioned, the rain all day long probably still affecting that turf, making it slippery on that ball as that first pitch is inside, wild pitch. Runner will get to third. Brings back Preston Vaughn. Vaughn gets into third on that wild pitch, and here's Jackson York to the plate. York walked and got a 2 RBI single in his last at-bat. So 1-0 pitch. Outside. This one's a pass ball. He gets away. Here's the throw to the plate. Vaughn is safe. In there on the pass ball. I think it got off the knee pad or something of Solinak. It hit something and ricocheted. It is a 12-0 ball game early on. This is in for a ball. 3-0 count on that one. hitters count early on. Here's a 3-0 pitch. Chopper to third. Nicely handled and thrown to first on a hop. That time is in time for the out. A nice little read and throw there by number 11, Gabriel Posada, who started this game in center field.
Now to bat for the Vikings. Number 12, Cooper Mills.
I mean, that's a good play there by Villegas at that time. I mean, you know that last play probably got under his skin, and he's able to recover on that one and grab that one hopper to first. And as a first baseman, scooping that thing out is always a confidence booster. First pitch low for a ball, 1-0. Low for a ball, 2-0. Well, first baseman Mills is a .622 on base percentage last year in 2025. This one's outside for a ball, 3-0. Guy that's able to draw walks and put a bat on the ball very consistently from the left-handed side, and a danger to right-handed pitchers. There's a 3-0. Line drive into right field. Coming in underneath this one and making the catch is the right fielder for the second out. And like they just mentioned, if the rain doesn't go away, at least it'll still be good enough to play. Second out of the inning. But the rain does in fact come down.
Evan Reher.
Which brings up number 5, Evan Reher, to the plate. And a lot of fans taking cover any way they can. Umbrellas coming out. Fans finding shelter. So first pitch to Reher is a strike, 0-1. Well, it was a question up until the afternoon of whether this game was even going to happen today due to the rain. The radar suggested that there was a 100% chance of rain, according to the Apple Weather app, of rain all day, which was in fact incorrect. The 0-2 pitch. This one's a ball away, 1-2, and you saw all the infielders kind of make that one stutter step over to their right, heading back into the dugout, but not convincing enough. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Outside again, 2-2. That time no stutter step. So you got 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 12-0 ball game. 2-2. Popped up right field. Coming in underneath this one, unable to get to it, and it's a foul ball, 2-2. Well, we're not playing cricket here, otherwise that ball could have been close to being a 4. Of course, as somebody that played cricket for a little bit, you know how hard that is to do anyways. Second most popular sport in the world, and yet somehow, some way, it's one of the longest sports in the world as well. Some games can take 3 days. If you're playing T20, it can take up to 4.5 to 5 hours, and it's 1 inning. Here's the 2-2. Popped up in the left field, should be playable. Trying to get under it in the rain, and he'll make a catch for the final out of the inning. So only giving up 1 run that time in this inning. 12-0 lead as we're heading into the top of the 4th inning. The score is still 12-0. Lago Vista leads. You're watching Times Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network as the rain comes down, and we'll see what the umpires have to say at the end of the half.
Number 6, Adrian Stone.
Well, as the rain continues to go down, we head to the top of the 4th inning. It is a 12-0 ball game right now as Adrian Stone comes up to the plate. Jude Laux so far in this game is absolutely dominant so far. And somebody's car horn's going off. I know it's not mine because I'm parked further back. At least I hope it's not. Second pitch, strike called 0-2. And I think we got go fish in here. The 0-2 pitch to Stone. Stone pops this one up first base side. Coming in underneath this one to make a catch. And successful at that is the first baseman Evan Rear for the first out of the inning. So fly out to the first baseman. One gone. And unfortunately, there was a wall separating us from the view of that, so I apologize to the viewers at home.
Now to bat. Number 11, Gabe Posada.
Which brings up Gabe Posada to the plate. Posada so far in this game has a strikeout in his first at-bat and is not alone in that category. This time pops this one up foul, out of play, 0-1. Actually getting group messages right now, funny enough, from Sonic Lodge in Lubbock that was giving out a reward to, or an award to Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire. This one's outside for a ball, 1-1.
Can you imagine as far back as we are, the backstop from home plate?
It's a ball, 2-1 the count.
They remodeled. How far back do you think they went from home plate?
Here's the 2-1 pitch. Outside for a ball, 3-1 the count to Posada.
They moved home plate 20 feet back when we redid it.
It was originally like a 60-foot backstop. So far out there, it's hard to even see the
And mentioning a couple of those pass balls earlier, the backstop used to be about 60 feet from home plate. When they remodeled the stadium, home plate was moved back 20 feet in order to accommodate for that deep backstop. And showed bunt, pulled back for a strike, and we got ourselves a payoff pitch. Chop to third. This could be nicely handled, and it will be. Throw to first. In time for the out. A nice 5-3 put out. Third baseman Cooper Mills over to Rear. 2 gone here in the inning. Reher, I should say, excuse me. I think what's funny is this is a broadcast where y'all...
Number 17, Luis Villegas.
Wish I would have brought a second mic because I'm actually able to have kind of like color analyst conversations that are not even being able to be heard. But of course, none of my mics work. Otherwise, I'd have been like, heck yeah, let's go ahead and do this thing. Oh, love that. At least I got some analysts with me. Maybe not color commentary analysts, but I got analysts nonetheless. Here's Luis Villegas at the plate. He got a base hit in his last at-bat over in the right field. Takes a strike, 0-1. The 0-1 pitch. Off speed. There's that dirty off speed for a strike, 0-2. And my golly, when that pitch came out, I mean, that fastball was expected. And by the time he started that swing, that ball was maybe still 20 feet from home plate by the time his swing was almost through. The 0-2. Next pitch is a ball, 1-2. Even Villegas knew that he had been got. Trying to get some grip on the ball now is Laux. Looking to go 3 up, 3 down. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Goes to the curveball that time. Midnight to dinner time as it's a ball, 2-2. Or I should say 12-6. That was more probably 16-11, but regardless, it still broke. The 2-2 pitch. That one's on a hot ball, 3-2, so Villegas able to work a count in this at-bat. And when you're a pitcher in a 12-0 situation, you realize that you can kind of do whatever you want right now. You can get creative in these at-bats and figure out different ways to approach batters as time's called. That's the one advantage that you have as a starting pitcher, knowing you have that opportunity to get creative. You have that opportunity to figure out different ways you can approach batters that maybe you hadn't tried before, maybe you had kind of discussed before. The payoff pitch from the windup. And that will be a walk, as he will be able to work a count and head to first base. So Villegas with a base hit and a walk in this game brings up Evan Langham to the plate. He grounded into that 6-4-3 double play earlier in the game.
Now to bat for the Titans, number 10, Evan Langham.
Back in the second inning, the nice little 6-4-3 double play. Vasquez over to York, over to Rear. First pitch is a strike, 0-1 on the outside corner. Oh. Villegas with a more conservative lead at first. Inside, ball 1-1 the count. And I'm only saying this because Vince Scully did this for Sandy Koufax's perfect game. It is 9 o'clock p.m. here in Texas. The 1-1 pitch. Outside corner, called strike 2, 1-2 the count.
I think that's what we like to call a makeup call.
Kind of went paintbrush there, and he's going to go from the windup, not worry about that runner on second. Villegas is going to go.
And he gets it.
But it don't matter. Called strike 3, inning over, 5th strikeout of the game. So it's no runs, no hits, 1 man left on base after a walk, and we'll go into the bottom of the 4th inning. Your Titans still down 12-0, and the Vikings coming up to bat here on the Vype Sports Media Network.
Leading off the bottom of the 4th for the Vikings, number 7, Jet Tyler.
Brings up Jet Tyler to the plate here at the bottom of the 4th inning. For those of y'all just tuning in, I'm Dalton Brown. Merle Bertrand is our broadcasting director, Cindy Van Cat, our product manager, and it's Les DeSalvo this game, who's our quality analyst, making sure that every aspect of this game is still running well. And we got Jet Tyler to the plate, 0 for 2, grounded to the shortstop his first at bat, and reached on an error to the shortstop in his second. We got ourselves a 1-1 count. A very misty day out here in Lago Vista. This one's popped up behind the screen, getting ready for a loud bang. And no loud bang this time. 1-2.
I mispronounced Jude Lago's last name for the first couple of games. Then I got it right. And then I called him Lude Lagos.
Here's the 1-2. First to the right field side, coming in underneath this one, making the catch is the right fielder on the... No, they're going to call the base hit. So they're going to say it hit the ground before it hit the right fielder's glove. And that'll go down as a base hit for Jet Tyler.
Up the bat, number 6, Ryan Duty.
Which brings in Ryan Duty to the plate now. One of the many seniors mentioned today, coming in for a replacement for Cody Wesson. So a little bit of a substitution here, getting some of the other guys in right now with the lead, especially one of the seniors on senior night. So next pitch is the ball 1-0 and get the walk-up song going. Runner taking a solid lead over at first. The 1-0 pitch. Outside corner, called strike, 1-1 the count. Hidrago has been able to hold his own so far in this game. He only gave up 1 run in that last inning so far. Here goes the runner to second. Pitches the ball. The throw down is not in time. And Jet Tyler will steal second. The 5th solo base now of the game for this Vikings offense. I keep saying Vikings offense like this is football. I'm used to putting those two words in a sentence.
Missed 2 extra points.
The 2-1 pitch. Ground to the second should be a nice little easy play. Throw to first is in time for the out, so that'll go down as a 4-3 putout for the first out of the inning. Nice little play there by Eddie Lacona.
Stepping into the box, number 11, Colby Canales.
This brings up Canales to the plate, who also has a stolen base this game, but not without a walk and a painful hit by a pitch. In this game is of course, a hit song by Soulja Boy from back in the mid to late 2000s, Kiss Me Through the Phone. The first pitch is a ball, 1-0. One of the songs my brother actually had on vinyl in his room. Yeah, that's right. He had that on vinyl of all things. You know, you think of vinyl records, you think somebody would get maybe, the Beatles on vinyl. You can get even Jerry Lee Lewis, for God's sake. But no, we're going Soulja Boy. It makes sense on an iPod back in that day. But no, we're going with the vinyl record. There's a line drive into center field. That's going to get down for a base hit for Canales, who swung at that pitch, and that'll be an RBI base hit. And after getting hit in the last at bat, he's able to return the favor and make this a 13-0 game. Excuse me.
Now to bat, number 3, Preston Vaughn.
Brings up now Preston Vaughn to the plate, the usual courtesy runner in this game. Vaughn has a stolen base in this game, which, like we mentioned earlier, is not an uncommon occurrence. First pitch, this one gets away, and Canales will get in the first easily. So Preston Vaughn hitting for Bronson Long. Okay, Preston Vaughn hitting for Bronson Long. Lordy be, it put me in some kind of poetry, it sounds like. Poetry stance. For like... Next pitch is a strike, 1-1. Reading off names of guys that get replaced for a guy whose last name rhymes with the other dude's last name feels like I'm reading a Dr. Seuss book while struggling. Ground ball to second. Lakota unable to get underneath this one. That's going to be a base hit. And the runner's going to come in to score. I bet you that'll be ruled a single, as that might have been a tough play on that hard ground ball. So an RBI single for Bronson Long, and it's a 14-0 game in the bottom of the 4th.
Number 10, Aiden Vasquez.
So back to the top of the order as Aiden Vasquez steps up to the plate. He's got a base hit, 2 stolen bases, a walk, and grounded to his third baseman in his 3 at-bats. First pitch is inside for a ball, 1-0. And so far in this game, and of course in UIL, if you score 10 or more runs, you are in position to win by mercy rule in the 5th inning. And if Lago Vista is able to do that, they will do exactly that while scoring a run in every single inning. It's inside for a ball, 2-0, and so you go 3, 8, 1, and 2. The order of runs scored in each inning. The 2-0. Fly ball in the left field. This one is tattooed. And this is going to get over his head and over the wall for a ground rule double. Each runner will move up 2 bases, and Vasquez putting a charge into that one. Puts runners on second and third with 1 out.
Now, after that ground rule double by Aiden Vasquez, brings to the plate number 1, Jude Laos.
And now the starting... And Jude Laux comes back up to the plate now. He's got 2 walks in this one. One of those walks being an RBI and reached on an error by Zane Thomas in this game. First pitch outside for a ball, 1-0. Now this makes me wonder about random walk-up songs I remember hearing while playing baseball. Because, I mean, you hear songs like that and you kind of think of those random ones. I remember A.J. Reed when he played for the Express for a little bit there, the first half of that season when they were with the Astros, played the ballad section of Bohemian Rhapsody of all things in the first month, which worked out, but then he started to realize that this is a more somber section of the song. You had 6 minutes of a song and you picked the most somber part of it. So he went for I can't remember which Biggie Smalls song it was, but he picked that afterwards, and fans seem to get more into that one, for sure. Rather get people hyped up than everybody turn on their phones on flash, swaying side to side, like we're at a funeral. The 2-1 pitch. Outside for a ball, 3-1. The 3-1 pitch on the way. Popped up in the right field. Should be playable. Coming underneath this one and making the catch, but tagging up and scoring will be the runner from third. Runner from second will get in the third, and Vaughn scores, and Laux gets another RBI in this one. This time, credit.
Brings us up number 9, Jackson York.
Credited with an RBI for a second time in this game is Jude Laux on that RBI flyout. So Jackson York comes up to the plate, and York this season, we forgot to mention, has 5 home runs already in the regular season, and he's been a perennial power hitter this year. Now, mind you, a junior at that. He's still got 1 more year left. So Lago Vista is full of guys that are either underclassmen or just not quite seniors yet, who still have that 1 to 2 or possibly even 3 more years left to develop even more than what they're at right now. Here's a 2-0. Outside for a ball, 3-0. Runner on third. The 3-0 pitch. Inside ball 4, and York will head to first base on his second walk of the game, which brings up Cooper Mills to the plate.
Up to bat, number 12, Cooper Mills.
Wire the first. Nice little play by Villegas, and that will retire the side. So at the end of that one, it was a 14-0 game. We're headed to the 5th inning. Lago Vista 3 outs away from ending this game in mercy rule. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Titans look to score those 5 runs to continue this game here in Lago Vista. Titans baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Titans need to get 5 runs in this inning in order to continue this one, bringing it into the bottom of the 5th here in Lago Vista. We'll have to check scores later on and see if we can get some scores at a Legacy Ranch game later on. Because like we mentioned, with the Wranglers' loss, it puts one of these two teams in good position to try and fight for that first place spot. The Wranglers win, however, things get real crazy. First pitch hit him right in the elbow, but he wore that like a champ. Wow. No elbow guard or anything. That man just wore it with his bare bone and everything.
Now up to bat for the Titans, number 3, Eddie Lacona.
I mean, they don't call it the funny bone because it actually is funny. That is the worst possible place, one of the worst possible places you get hit, especially with a fastball of the likes of Jude Laux.
That didn't look like it phased him much at all.
I mean, he wore that. That is terrifying, actually.
It's like he was looking at the umpire going, that didn't hit me, right? You caught that?
So Ancona back to the plate, strike 1-0-1. Lacona has struck out in this game, now gets his second at-bat here. Takes all the way to the 5th inning for him to get a second at-bat, takes strike 1-0-1. And it's been clear, Laux has made it clear he is not worried about that runner on base. Not in the slightest. Going straight for the windup, letting those runners go ahead and take off. I mean, and why not? I mean, you got to give up 4 runs in order for it to still even just be a 10-run lead. 5 for this game to continue into the bottom half of the inning. So you can go from the windup, you can go for the stretch. You can really just mess with the runner's timing. 0-2 pitch. Curveball and just missed the zone 1 and 2.
He almost
I mean,
back in there, didn't
it was a curveball like Yu Darvish during his prime with the Rangers. 1-2. Fastball up the middle. This is going to get down for a base hit unless they get this out at second. No one's covering second on that one. That's a base hit for Lacona. Runners on first and second. Is a little bit of confusion over at there at second base. Runner on first and second.
Now to bat, number 1, Kingston Coulter.
Is Jackson York on that one. Kind of just went over to grab the cutoff throw and turning around to realize that that runner was a lot further away from second base than he had anticipated. So here's Kingston Coulter to the plate. 0 for 1 with a ground out and a hit by a pitch. This one gets away to the backstop. Each runner will advance a base.
Open base here.
So now you have an open base here, and in this situation, while you have a 15-run lead, you don't really feel the need to walk him to force in any force. More than likely, you're more worried about just getting the 3 outs quickly. There's a liner in the short. Nice catch there by the shortstop Vasquez for the first out of the inning, and that one kind of got off the end of his bat and blooped over the shortstop, and Vasquez was able to just put that glove up and make a nice, easy play.
Up to bat, number 2, Nate Salagna.
So here's the switch hitting Salagnak. 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a pop up to third in his at-bats. Hitting from the left side in this one. First pitch is a strike, 0-1. Laux that time did not look like he brought the heat on that one. I think, like we just heard, might have been a changeup. 79 pitches so far in this game. This will be pitch number 80. This one's low, gets to the backstop, but nobody will advance. 1-1. And the rain kind of calmed down here in Lago Vista for a little bit. It started to pour down a lot, but then it just kind of faded away as it's been all day long, depending on what side of Central Texas you've been on. Nothing real steady. Unlike in my hometown in Taylor right now, a lot of flood alerts right now as the San Gabriel River slowly starts to rise. Here's the 1-1. Popped up again to the third base side. Third baseman, shortstop crashing in. A diving attempt. And that one, I think, hit the top of the dugout before it actually hit the ground. Foul ball, 1-2.
That's the trouble getting around the third base on that.
Looks like everybody's okay.
Everyone's okay, but a little bit slow, like maybe 0.5 disappointment of not getting to that ball with the lead. You want to make a big play, but you also know you got a 2-strike count coming up. You have confidence because you gotten this guy to an 0 for 2 day. You got runners on second and third, but you also bring in the heat. Like that. Strike 3 called on the fastball, and Sologna goes down on strikes for the second time this game. 2 away. And with his 6th strikeout of the game, Jude Laux is 1 out away from sending this game into the mercy rule distance.
Into the box for the Titans. Number 7, Zane Thomas.
And the batter will be Zane Thomas. And I actually messed up the score. I'd say it was 14-0. It's 15-0 in this game, with 2 outs. Zane Thomas, the last game, was the last out on the offensive side for the Titans, but he also recorded the last out from the mound, getting that save against the Wranglers. Looking to continue this game. Pushing a rally to send this thing into the bottom of the 5th. There's a ball, 2-0.
Pitching for the shutout right now.
Laux was 1 out away, however, from going the mercy rule distance with a shutout. There's a ground ball to short. This could end it. Throw to first is going to be in time on the dig, and that will do it. A 15-0 mercy rule victory for the Vikings as they take down the Titans. And a huge game for Jude Laux, striking out 6 and bringing this game home with a 15-0 victory for the Vikings. So we will take a break. We will go to a post-game show here in just a moment. You're watching Titans Baseball on the Vype Sports Media Network. Final score, your Titans fall in this one 15-0 on senior night for the Lago Vista Vikings.